Willow Creek, tiny, quiet, hidden deep in a valley shrouded by trees. The town was known mostly for its silence, a stark contrast to the imposing Victorian mansion perched atop the hill. Locals called it Blackwood Manor. They said it was cursed. The old house loomed over Willow Creek, a constant, watchful presence. Its windows, like vacant eyes, stared out blankly. No one dared to go near. Not anymore, not after what happened. Sarah arrived in Willow Creek on a dreary afternoon. Rain hammered against her car, blurring the road ahead. She was a writer, drawn to the town's isolation, seeking inspiration. The manor she thought would be the perfect muse. The realtor had been hesitant, almost afraid, when Sarah insisted on renting the manor. "It's old," he'd warned, "full of stories." But Sarah wasn't deterred. She thrived on stories. She just didn't know how real those stories would become. The first night was the worst. Sarah had never felt such an overwhelming sense of dread before. The wind howled like a banshee, rattling the old windows with a ferocity that seemed almost supernatural. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the house sent shivers down Sarah's spine. It was as if the house itself was alive, breathing and watching her every move. She told herself it was just the wind, the age of the house, but the rational explanations did little to calm her racing heart. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. Then came the whispers. They started as faint murmurs, barely audible over the howling wind, faint murmurs that seemed to drift from the walls themselves. It was as if the house was trying to communicate with her, to tell her its dark secrets. Sarah couldn't make out the words, but the tone was undeniably menacing. It was a low, guttural sound that sent chills down her spine. She started seeing things out of the corner of her eye, fleeting shadows, flickering lights. It was as if the house was playing tricks on her, testing her sanity. Her dreams became haunted by faceless figures and blood-curdling screams. Each night the nightmares grew more vivid, more terrifying. Willow Creek's stories were starting to feel all too real. The once quaint and charming town now seemed like a place of unspeakable horrors, a place where nightmares came to life. Section 4. The Truth in the Walls. One afternoon, while exploring the attic, Sarah stumbled upon a hidden room. The air was thick with dust, and the wooden floor creaked under her feet. She felt an inexplicable chill as she pushed open the door. Inside she found a dusty old diary, its leather cover worn and brittle. The pages were yellowed with age and the ink had faded, but the words were still legible. It belonged to a woman who had lived in the manor a century ago. Her name was Eliza, and she had documented her life in meticulous detail. As Sarah read the faded entries, her blood ran cold. Eliza wrote of strange occurrences, of whispers in the night and shadows that moved on their own. The woman wrote of strange occurrences, of whispers and shadows, of a darkness that consumed her husband. She described how the house seemed to come alive, its walls pulsating with a malevolent energy. The final entry chilled Sarah to the bone. Eliza's handwriting grew more frantic, her words more desperate. "The house," the woman had written, "it doesn't want us here. It wants him, my love. It wants to keep him forever." She spoke of a sinister force that had taken hold of her husband, refusing to let him go. "It wants him, my love. It wants to keep him forever." Sarah's heart pounded as she realized the gravity of Eliza's words. The house was not just a passive structure, it was an active, malevolent entity. Suddenly the whispers, the shadows, they all made sense. The house was alive and it had a will of its own. It had claimed Eliza's husband, and now it seemed to be reaching out to Sarah. It wasn't the house that was haunted, it was the house that was haunting, desperate to reclaim what it believed was its. The realization sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. It was the house that was haunting, desperate to reclaim what it believed was its. Sarah knew she had to leave, but the house seemed to tighten its grip, whispering her name, urging her to stay. Section 5. A Glimmer in the Darkness. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Sarah felt a surge of sympathy for the trapped spirit. She had always been sensitive to the supernatural, but this was different. This was personal. She understood its pain, its longing. She decided to help. The spirit's sorrow resonated deeply within her, compelling her to act. Using the diary as her guide, Sarah discovered a hidden chamber within the basement. The pages of the diary seemed to come alive, leading her step by step. It was ice cold, radiating a palpable sense of despair. The air was thick with the weight of forgotten memories and unfulfilled dreams. And there, in the center, was a single, flickering lantern. Its light was weak, but it held a strange, almost hypnotic power. This, Sarah realized, was the key. The lantern was not just a source of light, it was a beacon of the spirit's lingering presence. She had to extinguish the lantern, release the spirit from its earthly tether. It was the only way to bring peace to the restless soul. With trembling hands, she reached out towards the flickering flame. Her heart pounded in her chest as she prepared to set the spirit free, hoping she was doing the right thing. Section 6. The Secrets We Keep. Just as her fingers brushed against the cold metal, a voice filled with anguish and rage echoed through the chamber. "Stop!" it shrieked. Sarah jumped back, fear gripping her heart. The voice, it wasn't coming from the lantern, it was coming from behind her. Slowly, she turned around to face the source of the voice. It was then that she realized the chilling truth. The house wasn't trying to keep someone in. It was trying to keep something out.